we're going to make a web page, well, a website rather, with 4 web pages. And the website, each page will have a mobile first view. So when we're coding each page up, we'll initially code for a mobile phone view, and then we'll do this thing called progressive enhancement, and we'll implement changes. When the screen gets bigger, we'll implement changes to make it look good on a range of devices of different sizes. So I've got this little menu at the top, and if we imagine this as like a mobile phone, and we tap on this menu, the menu opens and shuts the primary navigation to other pages on the same site. And as the device screen gets bigger, we can alter that layout, and we hit a thing called a breakpoint, and then the layout changes. So we go from a mobile view to like a laptop or a desktop view. Now, the bit we're going to code up right now is the HTML for our header. So this page has a variety of semantic elements. The black area at the top with our navigation and heading, that's the header of the page. This little piece down the bottom with the licensing information is the footer. And then we have an aside element with links to external sites, so our secondary navigation. And over here we have a section with an article and a wide image. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to code up the HTML for this header element. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy my previous HTML into a new file. And I'm going to create a CSS file while I'm at it. And I want to open up the index HTML file with Visual Studio Code. You might like a different program, that's fine. Visual Studio Code is pretty popular though. And I'm going to update the description of my page. So it's going to be about Peru, or at least my one is. And I'm going to link it to the index CSS file. And I'm also going to link it to some other CSS files while I'm at it. And I'm going to have a general CSS file, header, CSS, and a footer CSS file. We're going to make these later. I'm just setting up the link for them right now though. And what we're really interested in right now is the header element. So I'm going to create a header element. That didn't work. Not winning. Third time lucky. So I've got this header element. And inside my header, I'm going to have a level 1 heading. So that's like the most important heading on the page. And I'm going to have a checkbox. I'm going to have an input, which is a checkbox. It's not going to need a name, but I am going to give it an ID checkbox. In fact, I'm going to call it the hamburger checkbox. It's a hamburger menu because the menu looks a little bit like a hamburger with the buns and the patty in the middle. Anyway, so as well as my input, I'm going to have a label for my input. And the label is going to be for my checkbox. And my label is actually going to be an image. And the image will be the hamburger image. Now, my image is going to be in a folder called the images folder or images directory. And I've got a file in there, the hamburger menu SVG. So it's in my images directory, and then it's the hamburger menu SVG. The alt attribute, that's alternative text for the image. If, for example, the image doesn't load, the alternative text will be displayed. Or if somebody's having the page read to them by a piece of software, then that alternative text may be read to them. And I'll give the image some meaningful text. And I'll just call it the menu. Now, I'm also going to have some navigation. So for the navigation, I'll use the nav element because that tells the browser that, hey, the items in this element are the primary navigation for the site. And then I'm going to have some anchor tags to other parts of the site. So when we have an anchor tag, the text in white is the text that's displayed to the user. And the part in the href, that's the path to the file we want to connect to. I'm going to have 4 files. You might have different files to me, that's fine. But that's essentially the HTML for the header. And we're going to be able to reuse this code across every page. So I'll be able to copy and paste this code to the other files later on. Now, my home, I'm also going to give that a class. And it's going to be the active nav. So the class, I'll use that to link to the CSS code when we write that. And that'll help the CSS identify that, hey, this is the element I want to style slightly differently. And that's because that's the nav or the page we're on right now. We'll talk a bit more about that when we do the CSS. So I'm just going to save that, and I'll open that up in the browser. And for the time being, it looks like that. Now, yours, you might not have the image, so you might have to hunt down the image. So I'll just help you find that image. If I search up a hamburger menu, Wikimedia, And there it is, hamburger menu icon on Wikipedia Commons. And that's the file. And then you just want to right click and save the file as. We don't want the PNG though, we want the actual SVG. So I might have to go back. And try a different link. And we want the original file. And we can right click on the file and save it as. So that's the code for the header HTML. That's all there is to it. And we'll reuse that on multiple pages.